Okay, let's jump right into it. So this is mobile media and smartphones for COM 200 week 3. So for my prompt this week, I wanted to phrase it more as a question that a parent might ask Google to figure out the best recommendations for when someone should give their child a smartphone. So I used ChatGPT this week. It gave me a very, very detailed response, so I wanted to dig into it a little bit more than I have in past weeks and really see how it connected to the material that we learned. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we're going to break down these 6 bullet points. So first things first, age and maturity. ChatGPT talked about waiting until at least the early teenage years. And then Mr. Haddon's article also talked about what rules do parents make about when children can carry these more expensive devices like smartphones. It also mentioned tablets in there and where can they carry these devices. So the relationship was very one-to-one here. So need and purpose, ChatGPT wrote mainly about staying in touch with children in case of emergencies and that sort of thing. But Mr. Haddon's article talked about text, instant messaging, more complex apps that are available to these children. So this was not exactly a one-to-one relationship, but they both sort of touched on these same issues. So responsible device use. ChatGPT talked about, digital etiquette, internet safety, as well as setting boundaries. How long can children be on their screens? What is and is not responsible for children of that age and maturity level? Mr. Haddon's article talked a lot about the parent-child interactions and how parents manage what media their children are exposed to. And I really felt like this was another one of those one-to-one relationships. Parental controls and monitoring. So we talked about this a lot in the video this week, and it was also mentioned in the article, but parental control apps and, built-in functionalities in these smart devices. And that was spot on to what ChatGPT says. They talked about using parental control apps or other features. So I thought, again, really great job by ChatGPT. Communication and trust. So this was the topic that I found the most interesting and the one that I wanted to talk about the most. So ChatGPT said, open lines of communication and trust between you and your child are vital. Discuss expectations, rules, and the consequences of misusing the smartphone. Regularly check in with them to address any concerns or issues that may arise. This was also talked a lot about in one of the articles that we read this week, and this really hit close to home for me. I know that when I got a phone, these conversations and interactions with my parents were very important when managing how I was using my phone. I started off with a little flip phone just for use, in a case of emergencies or for my parents to get into contact with me. And that was established when I got it. Again, it was really a trusting relationship. My parents really never checked my phone because they trusted me to be using it wisely and only using it in circumstances where I felt comfortable, and it was paid back to them. I trusted them not to do that, so I could have these discussions with them about what was going on. And then ChatGPT also talked about considering alternatives. So like I was saying, I started out with a little flip phone, easy, simple. So it talked about, feature phones or limited functionality devices. So like we talked about in this week's lecture video, it's important to consider the real need and, could they get by with one of these other devices? I remember these like ladybug phones when I was younger. So do 7-year-olds really need a smartphone? I don't think so, but it's really, up to the child and their circumstances. And that was something that ChatGPT also addressed. I was really, really, really impressed with the ChatGPT response. And, it was going right along with the material that we learned this week in class. here's the reference material. I only referenced the one article that we talked about in the lecture as well, but there it is if you need it. Thank you and have a great week.